Welcome to PrepsNet Coach Speak with Chelsea Hornets head soccer coach Lee Miller. Here's your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Welcome back, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we talked last time about 3 weeks ago. It's been a while, but spring break made up a part of that. So
yes,
now that we're on the other side of it, let's talk about some of the games you've played.
All right, let's do it.
Good deal. So currently your team is sitting at an impressive 14-2 overall.
Right.
Let's talk about the one loss though, because you had the one loss in the first week or two against Oak Mountain. Then you had this one against Briarwood.
Right.
And it happened to be the very next day after we last met.
Right.
So let's talk about that one. What happened in that game?
So yeah, it was a big game. Obviously, we went over to Briarwood and with first place in the area on the line.
Right.
And we've been so good this year, and our two losses we've kind of gotten smacked, and Briarwood smacked us. I thought we played well enough to have a better scoreline at least.
Right.
I think Briarwood did deserve to win on the night. We made some catastrophic mistakes, in the back, and
Sure.
And it was just one of those nights that didn't go our way. But we found ourselves 4-0 down, which was shocking and
Right.
unbelievable. But our guys picked it up, and we had a spell there in the second half where we kind of got back on the front foot,
Sure.
and we scored 2 goals. Luke Miller came back from injury and scored a free kick, which is kind of one of his things that he's really great at. And so then that made it 4-2, and we thought, man, if we can get it to 4-3, there'll be a lot of pressure on Briarwood, and maybe we can come away with it.
Right.
And we came close to getting it, didn't happen. Then Briarwood goes to the other end, scores, kind of puts it away.
Right.
They scored one really late to make it 6-2, which is unfortunate because that means we got the maximum points against us.
Right.
So, so we kind of found ourselves in a precarious spot, highly ranked, and, still fighting for our lives in the area.
Yes, for sure. So then on the 17th, you played a game against Huffman, beating them 7-0. So that was a really good game.
Yeah, Huffman will be a playoff team. They'll probably come in second in their area.
Wow.
So we wanted to, play another playoff team. So we went up there. Things went pretty well, and we took care of business like we expected, and, got the win.
Good deal. Then on the 20th, you played a crazy game against your area rival, Pelham, winning in double overtime, 1-0. Got to hear this story.
So I thought we dominated play. We had the better possession. I felt like a goal was coming all along.
Right.
And kind of left our start, didn't sub a whole lot, left our main players out there thinking we're going to score soon. We get a lead. Maybe I can then, rest some legs, get some guys subbed in.
Sure.
Didn't happen. Pelham's goalkeeper's fantastic, made some big saves. They kind of packed it in and made it tough on us.
Right.
And then you could see the game start to, as we got tired, you could see they started to try to push forward more. And they had some chances to beat us. And, you thought, man, we've really just thrown this one away. So we go, in 0-0. We go to overtime. First overtime goes by uneventful. Second overtime, Luke Miller, I mentioned, is our free kick specialist. Yeah. He coming off an injury, he wasn't as fit as he normally would be. So So I sub him off because he's suffering, had some cramps, put him on the bench. A minute into the second overtime, we get a free kick in the perfect spot for him. He's left-footed. It's perfect for a left-footed taker. And he's on the bench. You can't sub him in, so I got to pick somebody on the field, and it needs to be a left-footed guy. So I'm looking out there. The only left-footed player on the field is Marcus Garcia, who's playing left wing at the time. So I tell Marcus to come take it, and he hits an absolutely beautiful free kick to win the game, walk-off winner. Great moment for him, great moment for us. Fans went crazy. We have a trophy with Pelham that we passed back and forth to the winner. So, they went and got the trophy and celebrated with that. So it was a great night, area win against our biggest rival.
Sure.
But it sets up the stage for a really incredible second leg when we have to go to Pelham in a week or so.
Right. That's coming up for sure. Yeah. So the very next night, you end up playing Douglas. And Douglas, their schedule or their one loss, they're in the negative. So you would think y'all would have whooped up on them pretty good. I'm wondering, though, you won. Okay, let me make sure of that. 1-0, you won. but I wondered if the emotion of that win the night before kind of took some breath out of your sails.
Yeah, when I talked to the Douglas coach, we scheduled this knowing that we would both be coming off a tough game the night before. They played Susan Moore the same night that we played Pelham, and then we both played the next night. And so we both said, hey, look, at least both of us are coming off a tough game, so it's fair in that regard. And I had a feeling Douglas would be pretty tough. They struggled a little this season, but you can tell in the results that they're competitive. And they came over and they fought us, and again we dominated the game, but their keeper also played fantastic. Maybe we just make everybody's keeper play fantastic. I don't know. Maybe it's something about us, but we scored early actually, and I thought, okay, well, we've cracked it open. We'll score a few more here, and it just never did happen. We just fought our way all the way to the end, and of course at the end you think now you're one mistake away from just throwing the game away.
Right.
And luckily we didn't make that mistake, and we held on and won 1-0. And I mean that's how this sport is. It's tricky that way. Some nights everything goes your way, and other nights it doesn't. And that was one of those nights where it went our way for one time, and that was what it took to be the difference. So.
Well, yesterday night it went really well for you. You played Susan Moore, and you came away with a 9-1 win. You really beat them pretty good.
Yeah, and I felt bad for them because I thought Susan Moore was really, really good. I knew they would be competitive, and they impressed me. They have some players that are top notch. And, there were some moments there where I thought, we scored almost immediately. Luke Miller scored a header right out of the gate. We were 1-0 up. And then we got another goal. I think Jacob Kano hit an absolute stunner of a goal. So we're up 2-0. And then I forgot who scored the third goal, but we're up 3-0. And the assistant coach said, we kind of, it's a precarious 3-0 because Susan Moore, they looked like they were going to score at any moment. And I thought, man, they could score a couple real quick and get right back in this thing. And luckily for us, we just kept, periodically just stretching that lead out. They got one on the counter, and I think they made it 3-1. So you thought, okay, here it comes. But then we immediately responded, made it 4-1. Then it was 5-1, and then we put our subs in, and the subs scored. So really. Really great night. Just like I was just saying a minute ago, some nights it doesn't go your way, and last night was one where every idea worked.
Clicked.
And it all clicked. And, guys coming off the bench were scoring, so really spread it around. I think Jacob Kano had 2 goals, but then all the other goals were just a single goal for a whole bunch of different guys, so we kind of spread it around. So.
Good deal. Well, that catches us up, to present day. We're here. And we're going to talk about upcoming games right after this message.
PrepsNet Coach Speak with Chelsea High School head soccer coach Lee Miller is proudly sponsored by Campus Traditions, Guild Hornets.
And we're back. So, Coach, this Friday you meet once again your area nemesis, Briarwood. Now, your boys have faced some adversity along the way. How do you think they'll be ready, or how do you think they'll respond this time around?
Yeah, look, I think it'll be a little different. We'll be at home. Our field's a little wider. It's a grass field, not turf. Those are all just, peripheral things, but I think that'll, help us be more comfortable, help us be more confident. Sure. We know Briarwood's very good. We also know that we made some big mistakes that were uncharacteristic the first time. So, hopefully we can eliminate those, get ourselves in a position to win the game, and, find a way to win it. Right. Unfortunately, the goal differential part is against us, and we'd have to beat them pretty bad to overcome it. We're not looking to do that. If we can, great, but, we're just looking to find a way to win. Sure. In any way, shape, or form. Okay. But I think the guys are excited about it. I think we're looking forward to it. We're ready. Got a couple of days of practice here, and then we'll suit it up and see what happens. Good deal. So then next Monday you play at Stanhope Elmore. Coach, this team is 12-4-1. They're not anybody to take lightly. What do you think you'll see from the Mustangs? Yeah, no, Stanhope's exceptionally good. They've had a great season. Their losses have been to some quality teams. I think they lost by 1 to Pelham. I think they beat Mountain Brook. Wow. So they're a quality team. We know we're going to be in for a battle with them. It'll be down there. They have a nice field. It's a turf field, but it's wide. We played down there last year, and I agreed to come back in part because I like the width of their field. But we beat them pretty good last year, but they're clearly they've put it together right now. So we know we got our hands full.
Yes, for sure.
I think they're in the top 5 with us. I think they're right behind it, maybe like 3 or 4, and so they're quality.
It's going to be tight. You've got quite the schedule going on.
There's no doubt.
You play Pelham again. You mentioned this just a minute ago. You play Pelham again on the 10th. Right. What do you expect to see this time around?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a classic Chelsea-Pelham game. You're going to see 2 teams fighting for the playoffs, 2 teams that expect and deserve to be in the playoffs, but the system is set up where, somebody's going to be left out. Right now, Briarwood's sitting at 3-0, so we'd have to, really do some work between us to pull them back down and put them in a position to not make it. And if we don't do that, then it's it comes down to us, Pelham and Spain Park for one spot, and we got to fight our way to get that spot.
Right.
And Pelham knows that too, and we can expect an absolute classic and a barn burner, I'm sure.
Right. Finally, you have Spain Park coming in 2 weeks, another area team.
Right.
They're 4-10-2, so they look like on paper not a very good team, but as we've seen on any given night, someone can get hot. Yeah. Tell us about the Spain Park Jaguars.
You talk about our schedule's tough. You should look and see Spain Park plays a murderer's row of a schedule.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that record is very deceptive. They've lost some a bunch of games to some really, really good teams.
Right.
And, look no further than our game against them where they were 2-0 up on us, and we had to come back to send it to overtime to go to a shootout to win it in a shootout. They also lost to Pelham in a shootout. So, if they could have turned both of those games, they'd have 2 area wins right now, and they'd be looking at playoffs, and we'd be the ones fighting our way, trying to survive.
Gotcha.
And you can go back a couple of years ago when they were in our area, we beat them pretty bad here at home. I think it was 7-1 at home, and then we went and played them at their place. But having to win, we needed a win to go to playoffs, and it took an overtime goal to beat them to get us in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Right.
So I don't ever count any chickens with this situation. That Spain Park is a tough team. I don't care what their record looks like. They're going to give us a problem.
Right.
And we're going to have to be ready for it.
Okay. So you've got just a couple more games beyond that, and then you're at the end of the season. You're moving on, hopefully, to the playoffs. A lot's got to happen between now and then. I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing, how things work out. I'm wondering, injury-wise, how have things settled out for you?
So, we had some injuries early on.
Right.
We had one, a senior that was out for the season. Of course, he's still out for the season. Our third goalkeeper had a rib issue, so he's out. But as far as starters and all that, everybody's back.
Okay,
I mentioned Luke Miller's back. Parker Dean had a sprained ankle, and he looks to be 100%. He scored a goal last night. And before that, Andrew Perkey had a concussion, and he's been back from that, and he's fine. And then Campbell Jenkins had a broken wrist, and he's just playing with a cast, so he's back. He scored last night. So all those guys are back, producing, scoring, making saves, doing all the things. So we're as healthy right now, knock on anything.
Knock on metal.
We got our best foot forward right now, so we got to show it.
Good deal. So, Coach, talking about the players, who's really stood out to you the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think you got to say Jacob Kano has been really, really good in the central midfield. He was kind of a role player last year as a junior, came in this year, didn't know if he was going to start or not. He won a starting job, and he's really been great. Scored 2 fantastic goals last night, one with his left foot, one with his right foot. Got a great assist, and I think he's now leading the team in tackles won, so he's kind of a ball winner in the middle. A distributor. I mean, he's really elevated his game. So I think you got to say he's been fantastic.
Good.
And and then Max Weaver has got 14 goals on the season. He's been great up top, and so good. And a lot of us just been by committee. I mean, a different guy on a different night, and that's
that's what you need. That's the definition of team.
I tell guys all the time, we worry about this player or that player from our opponents, but I think they got to worry about a lot from us because we have a lot of different guys. They can't just pinpoint one guy to stop. There's there's multiple
so
guys
many.
that can do stuff. So
For sure.
we're happy to have so many weapons.
Good deal. Well, Coach, that's our show. We appreciate your time. And as always, we appreciate yours. Join us again in 2 weeks for another Chelsea version of Coach Speak.